Audacity.
Let's go, baby. We live, right?
Oh,
You
we are
excited
so
for this episode,
live.
dude? This one's been most requested too, from the fans. We're gonna talk about how to pick up girls at the gym. Everybody's been asking us, dude.
You should
Too
see,
many comments.
You should
Too
see
many
our
comments.
DMs, bro. You should see our DMs.
Dude, they're flooded. They're flooded, bro.
All right, I'll give it to you. You caught me off guard with that, but that actually made me fucking laugh. All right, solid opener.
Oh, we're not
there.
talking about that today?
Let me get into it, and I'll tell the people what we're talking about.
Okay.
All right, let me get over.
Let's
to
run it.
Let's run it, baby. So, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unracked Podcast. We are helping gym rats of all levels to enhance their fitness and other aspects of their lives through conversation and firsthand experiences. We're your hosts. I'm Mike Gersh.
And I'm Josh Angel.
In the last episode, we talked to you all about different types of gym equipment and the benefits of each accessory and how you can work that into your routine. In today's episode, what we want to discuss is a handful of different reasons that people stall their gains in the gym and they plateau, and some advice on how to get back on track if you hit that plateau or you notice your gains slowing down. One thing I want to preface this episode by saying, we have a pretty long list that we're going to try to go into as much detail in as possible. There's a few things that we've talked about in previous episodes that I feel as if we've gone into sufficient amount of detail that we can acknowledge fit into this list, but we don't need to go too far into it. One of those things being, I see pretty high on top of the list, is inadequate nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
We did a whole episode about macros if you want to know how that's going to affect you and why you would plateau if you're not tracking your macros. Go listen to that episode.
That was like episode 2, right?
Two or three.
Yeah, we did it early, so people can get their nutrition going. But before we start this too, I want to say, like, you can probably have like two to four of these, and it's gonna mess up your gains. Like when we talk about it, like maybe you could if any of these fall into the category where you're working out consistently, and then you have some of these points that we're gonna say, it can mess up your gains or slow it down.
Yeah, this isn't an all or nothing type deal. Some of these are going to be more significant than others for sure. So it's the kind of thing where these are all variables. For the most part, in your control. There are going to be some that we'll touch upon that are out of your control, but we'll acknowledge that fact. Some are, like I said, more significant than others. So some of these things, if you have 2 or 3 going on, if you fix one, you're going to feel like you fixed everything. Some things you have to fix 3 or 4 things for it to make it feel like it added up to a significant change.
Yeah, some are big or some are small issues.
Exactly. Just like people. Some are big, some are small.
Yeah, just like food.
Just like a lot of things, apparently. So,
Yeah.
I think probably one of the highest things on my list. So this is something Josh and I talked about and put this.
You think it's the
list
most
together.
important? I don't know.
I wouldn't go as far to say most important, but I think it was something that we put pretty high on the list because we both agreed how important it is. And this is something that it's proper programming. So, not to go too far into detail, I feel like we talked a little bit about this in the strengths versus aesthetics, but not a lot of people are on a program. So this is something that with a program typically comes a coach. So you have someone who's going to be able to hold you accountable, who's hopefully expert in their field, who they're going to be able to tweak things in your programming, in your nutrition as you're going on, as opposed to you figuring out things on your own. Like for you, for example, how long do you feel like it took you going to the gym consistently to feel like you had it figured out?
Well, honestly, I kind of had it figured out because when I started working out, it was due to football, because football class they had as a schedule too.
But someone else had it figured out for you then. You had
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lifting coach, I'm sure.
Yeah. So like that's how I started too. Well, no, actually, now that I think about it, I kind of started working out middle schoolish because my dad would like take me take me to the gym, but I wasn't really working out though because I didn't know what to do. So like literally, this is kind of embarrassing. I was just walking around at the machines and just like because I didn't know what the fuck to do.
You was just
Yeah,
getting cardio. Did you actually do any exercises or just straight cardio?
I was just walking around the gym looking at the machines because I really wasn't sure what to do at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I only went like a few times when my dad had to take me because of I don't know his schedule. I don't remember, but like I remember him taking me a few times, and I was just doing the machines. If I actually hopped on something, it was like straight up machines. I never really did dumbbells and stuff like that unless I was working out with him, and then he'd be like, "All right, just do this movement or whatever." But definitely not organized.
Okay, so middle school you didn't have it figured out.
Yeah.
High school you had more of a guide. Do you feel like where you were at in high school without the weightlifting coach or the football coach, strength and conditioning, whatever you want to call it, do you feel like without that person you had the information and knowledge to say you felt like you had a good grasp of how to continuously progress?
No, no. But I also wasn't taking it seriously too, like because I wasn't going to the gym unless it was do the football. Like when our classes had this when football had us doing actually workouts, that's the only time I actually did it. I still didn't really go to the gym at that time.
So you probably at that time again weren't even like for I guess maybe passionate enough about it
No, I wasn't. Yeah, it was
to invest yourself into learning more to get to the point of
yeah.
feeling like you knew what you were doing.
No, yeah, I only took it serious when we finished our last season for my senior year. After that season was over, then I took it serious, and then that's when I was working out with other people. And still, when I was working with other people, I was just kind of doing what they were doing. So I still wasn't even doing my own thing. But like by then, I already kind of figured out like, cause for all the football stuff, like okay, separate legs, but I'm not gonna do shoulders and legs at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. So football kind of helped already have me organize my program, but I know a lot of people and some of the people that I work with too on my programs, they don't. Before I even help them with a program, most of them tell me like, "Oh, I just go in the gym and do whatever. Oh, I just go to the gym and I just pick a few exercises on the machine and I call it that." And
Yeah.
they just hit in the cardio. So a lot of people do that and just have no program at all. They just go in, okay, I'll do some biceps today. I'll do some chest machine and call it that.
Well, that's pretty much what my point is, right? Is not everybody is going to be in a situation where they start out with a coach or a guide or a friend who knows what they're doing. I'll put myself in that category where I worked out in college, but I was partying too much to ever see progress. That's something we'll talk about later in the episode. But
Hmm.
I was working out with people, but it was like we were just there at the same time. It's not like anyone was like really telling me what to do. So what a lot of people do when they first get started is one of two things. They'll either go around the gym and do whatever they think they need to do and it ends up being random things, or they'll find a program online that's a pretty cookie cutter program and they'll just repeat it over and over and over again to the point where they're going to stall their gains because their body has adapted to the program, to the movements, to the weight that they're doing, that they're not going to stimulate their muscles enough to be able to continuously progress. So that's when you need to switch up your program, which is something I mentioned. When you work with a coach, they'll typically be able to tweak your programming. Excuse me, don't let your coach tweak you.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But like for me, like thinking about how I work with my clients, like I switch up at the very least accessories every 4 weeks. They may be the same, similar movements, they may be just variations of the same exercise and working the same muscle just in a different way, but it's going to be a different enough stimulus that the muscle is not adapted to that stimulus and it's going to be able to progress. Where if you just do the same thing week after week with the same weight, the same exercises, you're going to stop seeing physique gains. But you may feel like the weight becomes easy. So that's when you know you need to do more weight,
Mhm.
which goes into,
Our second one is progressive overload, right?
oh, yeah.
So pretty much it's just you want if you're tracking everything, you want to increase the weight or increase the reps weekly, or what Mike was saying, you can change like one workout here and there, accessories. 4 weeks is perfect. 4 weeks is the golden number, the
I would say
Goldilocks
4 to
number.
6.
Yeah, yeah, either or.
I just like to keep it fresh. I think scientifically 4 to 6 is the sweet spot, but to be completely transparent, I bill my clients monthly, so
Yeah.
it like makes sense to just switch it up every month.
I think it also kind of depends because if it's like someone new, they can literally kind of do the same thing at least twice a month and see, because there's like newbie gains. So it's definitely when you get a little bit more in like the advance. I don't know. Everybody's a little different with their gains. Definitely, if you stop seeing some progress in your programming, you definitely want to switch some things out.
And when you're thinking about what to switch out, you need to think about the intensity that you're working out with, right? There's a lot of people that will go to the gym and they just go through the motions and they think I showed it. Showing up is half the battle. I 100% agree with that. It's almost harder to show up than it is to actually go there and do the work. But there's still people who they have the big feat of getting up and going to the gym and then they go there and they don't do anything. I have literally seen and oh, it was appalling to me. I saw a guy who he would go to the gym and he would just go into the locker room and watch Netflix on his phone.
Oh man.
So that's obviously a pretty extreme example, but if you're going through the same workouts and you're just doing the same weight every week, you're not going to stimulate your muscles. So you need to progressively overload in one of two ways. So when people hear that, most people assume the obvious progressive overload is do more weight every week, right? That's only going to get you so far because you can only build muscle so fast. So you're eventually going to get to the point where, say, you're doing the bench press, and I'm going to use any like nice round number, 100 pounds, right? Say you can do the bench press. You start 90 pounds for 3. The next week you do 95 pounds for 3, and then the next 3 or 4 weeks in a row you're stuck at 100 pounds for 3 reps. When you get into this scenario where you can't add any more weight, what you then want to focus on is making those 3 reps of 100 pounds as clean and smooth as possible to the point where you feel like, okay, I'm only doing 3, but now I feel like I could probably do 5. When I feel like I could probably do 5 or 6, that's when I have the confidence and I'll move up to 105 pounds because you've built muscle memory of being able to do the reps with a heavy enough stimulus that when you start to increase the weight after that, after you figured out how to control the weight, that's when you'll be able to, again, progressively overload in the weight. And then you might stay on that weight for a few weeks, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And then the only thing you have to add afterwards is like a dealer week to really get more in advance of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like definitely eventually you can only put so much weight, so then you gotta increase the weight and increase the reps and make sure it is cleaner. Or you could do like the tempo stuff too. That also is gonna help. But also to keep this longevity going, definitely have to add like a deload week, and you hit better PRs. I'm doing one this week. My body needs it, man.
I think it's so funny. Anytime anyone does a deload week, if it's someone who like consistently posts on social media for whatever reason, they always have to shout out the fact that they're doing a deload week because they don't want other people to think they're doing bitch weight. Like I do it myself, dude. I'm guilty of it too. This is the pot calling the kettle black. But you have like for me powerlifting, you have like an RPE like 5 to 6, which as we know is going to be generally light. It's not really going to be working like too hard to be able to move that rep, but you're like, oh, this is my top set. This is the most weight I did today to post.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know I'm on a deload.
Yeah, I mean when you're doing powerlifting, you always posting your lifts. So the days that you is either you go MIA or you just say, oh, I'm going on the deload week.
there's a few days I've just straight up decided to not post. So
yeah. But I think that's it for progressive overload that I can add.
Yeah, and I think that ties into, so when we're talking about being able to control the weight, that ties into the next topic is going to be form and technique. Um, I believe this also somewhat ties into mobility, which is something these two topics, form and mobility, are something that when I started, I very much ignored, and I wish that I hadn't because I ended up hurting myself.
Happens to everybody.
But again, it's the kind of thing where I hurt my shoulder in high school playing lacrosse, and I never really thought much about it. Over time, for lack of a scientific term, like some gunk built up in there, and I was benching heavy, and it was something that like my shoulder joint just like wasn't mobile enough to support the amount of weight I was doing. And so it was the kind of thing where it wasn't like serious enough where like I still completed the rep, but I stopped working out and I went home. So it was like my shit didn't like snap right there. But if I had used better judgment in the weight that I was selecting, I would have been able to use better form that wouldn't have needed such deep mobility out of my shoulder to be able to handle that weight in a controlled way. Or on the other side, I could have done more stretching, activating, warming up, or a combination of the
Or
two.
not ego lift.
Well, I'm saying a combination of all those things would be the equals, not ego lifting.
Yeah, but another part. Well, I was thinking about that too. We talk about poor form and technique. Another aspect of that is like someone trying to ego lift, them trying to go like that. That's like the main cause of injury. It's almost like not even just like poor stretching.
Don't do it.
I mean, stretching has definitely a part of
stretch. No, stretch. Don't ego lift.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm just trying to finish my sentence. Like ego lift. But I was saying with like the stretching, like yeah, you can still get injured, but you can kind of get away with it sometimes if you start doing like let's say you do the shoulder press and you start really light or whatever workout bench press you start with a bar and you build your way up slowly. That's gonna help also decrease injury, but then you can kind of get away with not stretching before if you do something like that.
Yeah, but that was me. That was me being a dumb newbie.
I wasn't even talking about you though. I'm just saying in general.
I'm relating it back to me. That was just me being a dumb newbie, not on a program, because what I would do is I would do the bar and then I would do 135, which at the time I could probably do for like 5 to 8, and then I would just go straight into singles.
Mm-hmm.
And I would literally test my 1 rep max like every time I benched twice a week.
Damn.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't good. It makes sense why my shoulder mobility became an issue, because I was loading so much weight onto my joint.
No, but it happens though, especially when you're new. Like I think that's the time risk is high because if you're not prepared or you're just going in there and just like kind of just lifting on your own, you have no preparation at all, and your injury is bound to happen. It's like around the corner.
Yeah, I know it happens. Yeah. That's why we're talking about it, so the listeners will avoid doing it themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can keep making gains and keep listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
Keep learning. Student mentality.
Student mentality? Damn.
Do you know everything?
That's a new mentality. No, nobody knows everything.
That's the student mentality. Speaking of students typically have very high stress, which is actually the next thing that we want to talk about, is stress and mental fatigue. So this is something that is very much an outside factor, not at all related to the gym, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can be, like, you can stress yourself out about the gym. Again, as a power lifter, my entire mood is based on, like, how fast I move a weight or how much weight I do, so I understand that, but...
I think now, well, we don't have a stress about this, but when I was getting stressed before was if the gym was too packed. Yeah. I'm like, damn, man, I'm trying to get my workouts done between this time.
Now we go to a private gym.
Yeah. So it's but so it's never packed too. So at our gym, but like back when we went to a commercial gym, I'm sure you were stressed out. Like, oh man, like the machine's taken up or whatever. You gotta wait.
There were the days at LA Fitness. The gym opened at 5 a.m. We would have to get there at 4:45 and wait out front for the girl to open the door. There was 5 squat racks.
No, it was 6, wasn't it?
5 or 6 squat racks, but there was more people than squat racks, or more people going to the squat racks than actual squat racks. So you would get to the gym hoping you were the first person in line just to guarantee that you would get a squat rack. Like, that was stressful.
Yeah, it was stressful, and you had to be outside in the cold, or if it was cold, for example, like wintertime ish.
So like that's
Yeah,
something that in the moment I don't think I ever thought about that affecting my performance. But I'm
Th-
sure it did.
yeah. No, I don't know how I had good workouts because there was few days where I was like, oh, I actually had a good workout today, even though, but most of the time it was pretty bad because you're waking up super early, and then the next you're kind of like panicking. You're trying to rush to the gym to get there on time.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I think we had good workouts because, and I probably speak more for myself than you here, but you may resonate with this. I feel like we still had good workouts because I was new enough to still like consistently PR, even though I wasn't doing everything right.
yeah,
The newer you are, the more of the things on this list. How do I phrase this?
it's like as long as you work hard, you can just make muscle.
Yeah.
When you're
So
new,
as it,
you just gotta
I
put your,
figured it
you
out. I
gotta
figured
work
it
your
out.
ass off pretty much.
The more advanced you get, the more things on this list you need to have finely tuned to continue to progress.
Okay.
When you're new, you don't have to be as on top of it. So we were waking up to go to the gym at 4 to get to the gym at 4:45. So I'm sure I wasn't sleeping as much as I should have, but I was still making gains. I'm sure I went to bed earlier and didn't eat as many calories. So you know what I mean? There's so many factors that affect me more now than they did at that point. So,
But now we get plenty of sleep.
oh, I sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
The ashwagandha, bro. um, so yeah, and then there's obviously everybody goes through everyday stress, right? So this is something like for me, I was pretty externally stressed for a few reasons, and it was something that I felt it literally affect my hormones to the point where I could feel my body like taking over and like suppressing my appetite because my body was like so hormonally high that it was like we need to deal with this. We need to work on lowering the stress. Eating isn't our priority right now. So I could literally feel the stress leading to my appetite being suppressed.
Yeah, sometimes depending on what job you work, I mean, it could be tough. Well, one, it could be tough for you to eat in the first place, and two, if it's like I don't know, whatever job you do, something crazy, or two, like you said, you could be stressed from your job, and it's just gonna be tougher for you to eat and have a good night's sleep, depending on like how
Yeah.
what type, depending on your job, essentially.
And like, I mean, even other things that can cause stress too is like, and I know this is something I've talked about and I've said this exact phrase. I know this is how a lot of people start their gym careers is being heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
That is a massive amount of stress to be put on your body.
That's a benefit, though, man. You're gonna make better gains like that for sure.
But you need to like control the stress. You need to go to the gym for the right reason. A lot of people in that sense will go to the gym because they feel inadequate, which that stress. So here's the issue with that kind of stress. That stress is fueling their motivation. But when they get to the point where they get over the breakup, that's where they get to the fork in the road. Are they going to find that passion in weightlifting and continue? Or are they going to fall off because they no longer have that stress as motivation and now they don't really feel like they have a reason to continue going to the gym?
Yeah,
So
they're definitely gonna look.
that's why it's almost like not sustainable. It's like a flip of the coin if you're going to be passionate about it or if you're just going to punish yourself because you feel inadequate for whatever reason you broke
That's
up.
something they gotta like think about. Where it's like you dropped off some luggage at the post office. You dropped off like a package, and you're relieved now. When you drop off, when your girl breaks up with you, that's what people gotta think about. Like you got some baggage off you now. You're free. You're a free man.
But there's a lot of different
You're a free man.
scenarios and situations when it comes to breakups. So I
She was
wouldn't
made
just
anyways.
like generalize that into one overarching statement of leaving luggage at the post office. But um, anything else when it comes to like stress or mental? I mean, mental fatigue kind of goes into the deload too. Like um, strength comes in waves, right? So when you get to that peak, your muscles are obviously stimulated, but your central nervous system is going to be very stimulated, so it's going to be fatigued. So you need to also deload not just to recover your muscles, but to recover your central nervous system and your mental.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's again more to it than just your muscles.
Yeah, or if you push yourself really hard one day and you're still sore the next few days, you're gonna have to take a few extra days. I mean, that might not require a whole deload, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's more like physical fatigue though, like lactic acid buildup. I'm saying like
Oh, you're talking about something
mental
else?
fatigue, like
Oh, okay.
burnout and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I thought
Like
you're.
if you feel like you're spinning your wheels and your progress is stalled, like it may make sense to like take a week or two off or do like force yourself to do a deload week or switch up your programming to kind of like regain that like wanting to get better at something because again a program can get stale very fast.
Mhm.
So you want to continuously challenge yourself where if you're doing a lot of like bodybuilding style training and it's getting stale, again, you can look at programming for like the suspension TRX. You know what I mean? You could just decide one day, I want to start training like this. And then you do it and you fall in love with that style like you fell in love with the first one. And a lot of the times the people will go back to that first one and re-fall in love with it again. All they needed was like a little break from it.
Yeah, but you want to be careful because you might end up in the dark side and you go to CrossFit. You never know. You don't want to. You don't want to get to the dark side of that.
I didn't think that's what you were gonna say for the dark side, but yeah, no, I don't know if anybody watched.
What do you think I was gonna say?
Trend.
That's a good side though.
I don't know if anyone watched the CrossFit Games on ESPN. I tuned in just to see what it was about, and with all due respect, I had to turn it off pretty quickly.
You know what's pretty brutal? I looked up a like a cross like the I forget what the competition's called, but like they had like a CrossFit like fails of them like and some of them get really hurt on like the professional level too. Some of them get really hurt.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
They're like Olympic. Here's my issue with CrossFit.
Ah, we're gonna go to
We're
no, no,
opening
no,
the
no,
can of
no,
worms.
no, don't
No,
say it. Don't say it.
I'll be concise. Here's my issue.
Too long.
It's just too injury prone for me. You're like doing a race of Olympic weightlifting. You need to pick one. Pick a lane. It's a race or it's weightlifting. It can't be both. Dude, part when I was watching on ESPN, part of the competition was they were on a bike and they were tracking how many calories they burned and they had to burn a certain amount of calories before they could move on to the next like fucking challenge.
I didn't
swear to
see
God,
that.
it was like an obstacle course with weightlifting.
I know
or
they always
something,
switch
bro.
it too. They don't keep it the same. They always switch it like here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean because they sometimes have it. Most of the time it's like a race, and then sometimes they have it like okay, they actually go and do like a snatch. You know, without a race, they just see who can do the most weight. But majority of the time it is like a race, dude.
Well, that I think I just described it very well. It's an obstacle course of weightlifting.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
All right, I'm not going to talk about CrossFit anymore. I'm upset we had to even talk about it in the first place. Damn it, Josh.
You brought it up.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, you said the dark side, bro. Speaking of the dark side, this isn't really speaking of the dark side, but the next thing on the list is, I guess, the opposite of the bright side is ignoring your weaknesses. So that's something the way I would categorize this.
So not every day is arm day?
Not every day is arm day, exactly. So don't just gravitate to like the exercises that you enjoy or like you want to have nice, like if you want to have big arms, don't just do bicep curls. We'll toss a little tidbit in for you. The tricep is 2/3 of the arm. So if you want big arms, you should work your triceps more. So that's why you shouldn't just gravitate to the exercises you like to do. I will categorize this as friends don't let friends skip leg day. So if you got a friend who has some damn chicken legs, y'all best be getting him under a squat bar and moving some weight up and down.
Definitely. Why are you looking at me like that?
I feel like you thought I was talking about you.
No. I don't know. I thought I was talking about you.
No, dude.
My
My legs have grown significantly. I used to have chicken legs, bro.
Everybody has chicken legs unless they have the fat.
I used
Like
to
the fat goes to their legs, like Squidward.
I used to wear like the skinniest jeans, and I had literally no ass. Like my ass was just like a straight line
You had a
down.
long back.
Yeah, I had a long back. I had to wear 2 belts.
Yeah.
um, no, but then I did a bunch of squats, and now I'm thick as fuck. Thick
But-
with 3 C's. Damn, Panda, what you got me on? Alright, I'm gonna pause myself.
Pause, bro. So, but this also goes in hand to hand too with having a good program, also, or having a coach.
Yeah.
Because they can help you on your weak points,
Well, this is
and they'll
something
give you an
folks-
overall good program too. So, well, any coach would most likely give you a good program to work out everything. Most of the time.
a good coach.
Yeah. So,
Not most coaches, a good coach.
okay, good coach.
No, yeah, I mean, for sure. And this is the kind of thing, too. I don't know how you do it with your clients, but I have my clients check in with me weekly. So, like, they send, like, physique pictures. Because obviously, it's not like they're prepping for a bodybuilding show where I need check ins every 3 hours, drink another 100 milligrams of water. And you know what I mean? It's not that serious. But for that level of gym goer, like, a weekly check in is probably going to be adequate. It's the kind of thing where I look at these check-ins very closely. Obviously, you could put all the progress pictures together and see, oh, like his arms are growing rapidly, her waist is slimming down rapidly, right? So you start to get a feeling of what your clients genetically are good at, like where they hold fat, where they build muscle faster, so on and so forth, right? So it's the kind of thing where I now, working with a client for a little bit, will understand their weaknesses just by looking at the check-ins. So that's the kind of thing where, depending on how far along the relationship is, because not everybody wants to just get roasted by their coach, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't work on negative reinforcement. A lot of people want that positive reinforcement. So for someone like that, who all they want is the attaboy.
Sorry,
I'm not roasting my clients, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, if someone is falling off their diet.
You fat fuck. Yeah, big old guy.
No, I'm not roasting them, but like sometimes you have to be stern with them. You have to hold them accountable, right? Like you have to remind them, hey, this is why you got into it. Hey, you need to stay on top of it because you're paying me to give you this blueprint. You need to follow the blueprint to be successful. I'm giving you the blueprint. You just got to build the house, right? If they don't want to put in the work of building the house, then they're paying me for nothing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I can look at these check-ins and understand my client's weaknesses. And if it's someone who doesn't work on negative reinforcement, essentially what I would do is I would just go in and program more towards those weaknesses. If someone really wants to grow their shoulders out, then I'm going to have them do more volume on their delts. If someone really wants to grow their legs, I'm going to have them do more volume with their legs. That's all I'm saying. The point of that wasn't saying I roast my clients. I feel like I need to defend myself right now.
Hey, you said it like that, bro.
If I said it like that, that's not how I meant it, and I'm sure any of my clients will stand up for me. No, so don't ignore your weaknesses. You gotta
get roasted by Mike.
No, dude, it's like the mobility thing that I talked about. Like I just straight up ignored mobility for the longest time until it became an issue. Where if I didn't ignore my weakness and I worked on my mobility, it never would have been an issue in the first place. What's your biggest weakness, Josh? I know what mine is.
Calves.
That's what I was
On my forearm too, no matter what, it's just like
my forearms get that like right here.
Yeah.
When I do like the finger moving around.
I was weird too because I have a good
podcast is not gonna know.
I have a good gorilla grip, but it's just I don't know, they don't get big. I
Yeah,
can hold on to everything. I could hold on. I never have a grip problem, but just
I literally thanked my dad yesterday for giving me that gorilla grip.
the gorilla grip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he does like manual labor. He's always like lifting shit up, and so I like worked with him a lot of summers growing up. So I just got that gorilla grip.
Yeah,
Got that dog in me.
yeah. Well, I got it in my blood, some brown.
You got that perro in you.
Yeah.
um, okay, yeah. So again, don't ignore your weaknesses. Friends don't let friends skip leg day. Um, one thing we have already talked about, just touch upon quickly, is track your progress. How can you know that you're progressively overloading if you're not tracking it? The next one, this is something that I feel like a lot of people will fall into this category of overdoing it on cardio. How much for someone who's relatively new in the gym, how much weight training versus cardio would you program?
At least 70%, 80% of 70 to 80% workout, and the rest some cardio. Like cardio goes second for me. It's just like a little bit. I forgot what it's like. Someone told me, or I watched the videos of like of an amount of hours you want during the week, but I believe if you can get anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes a day, that's more than enough. And you don't have to push yourself. Even that's kind of, yeah, I would say that's like a good number of cardio. You definitely don't want to be doing an hour. That's gonna mess up your gains for sure.
Yeah.
Of
Again,
like,
if you're like a bodybuilder and you do 45 minutes on the Stairmaster every day in an extreme deficit, that's one thing. But those people also have extreme muscle building and muscle maintaining genetics that they can do that level of cardio and still maintain their muscle.
the PEDs, man, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
the steroids are a big part of that. But that is the kind of thing where, I mean, even ourselves, bro, like if I did too much cardio, I would lose muscle for sure. For me, what I'm lucky is I was actually saying this to you earlier before we started recording, being on a bulk, I have wet muscles, right? So that just means like I have I eat a bunch of carbs. I have a lot of glycerol like built up, so like I look not puffy, but I look a little like my muscles look a little rounder. Where, for example, Josh, A is on a cut and B is doing keto, so he's eating very minimal
Off and
carbs.
on.
Well, for the sake of what I'm saying, your muscles are a lot drier, right? So that means you can see a lot more of the definition. His skin is tighter, that lean aesthetic look that you look for. Um, but that's something that he's very well balanced with his lifting, his nutrition, and his cardio. Because, yes, he is in a deficit, which means he's. Excuse me.
You good?
Yeah. Tell him how you're in a deficit while I take a sip of water for 1 second.
Well, I was gonna say I don't do more than 30 minutes of cardio, and most of the time I'm also fasting at my workouts, so that's also another benefit that I'm using to like lose some weight.
Yeah.
At the same time. But no matter what, in a deficit and fasting and doing some cardio, you're gonna lose some muscle. It's kind of like almost impossible unless you're on something.
Yeah.
But
You're going to lose some, but you want to manage it as much as
yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
you can always minimize it to a reduce it as much as you can, but it's like a little bit. You're for sure gonna lose a little bit. Maybe not a lot, depending on how much you do, but and how long you do it for. But that's why you also want to track everything, and you want to keep your protein high. Like that's the most important part on the cut. The protein has to be high.
For sure. So what I was trying to say before I died and then came back to life, Josh being in a deficit, you're burning more calories than you're intaking, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's the kind of thing where cardio is an accelerated way of burning calories. So while there's cardiovascular benefits to cardio and just overall health benefits to cardio,
Also helps your metabolism too.
yep. If you do too much cardio, you're burning too many calories. The amount of food that you would need to eat to replace those calories it's not going to be like metabolized. Like you're not going to be able to absolve all those nutrients because your body has its maintenance calories, right? It has its deficit calories and then it has its survival calories. When you do too much cardio and you're getting towards that survival calories number, that's when it doesn't really matter what calories you intake, your body is going to look at it all the same because it's in survival mode. When you're in a healthier place, your body is going to store fats. Your body is going to break down carbs into glycerol. Your body is going to break down protein into amino acids and protein synthesis and recover and rebuild, so on and so forth. But when you're so low, you're just not going to get any of the actual macronutrient nutritional benefits of what you're intaking.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to lose a lot of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You might be a skinny bitch, which, if that's your goal, good for you. But my recommendation to my clients is LISS, LISS. What is it? Low intensity.
So you don't recommend them the syrup diet?
No, no syrup diets. Keep your cayenne pepper at home. No, LISS stands for what? Low intensity, steady, something. It's just like incline, treadmill, 20, maybe 25, maybe 30 minutes if you're advanced. Not at like a very like high speed at all. So it's something that it's going to be less impactful on your joints.
Oh, you mean that? Yeah, definitely.
Low intensity.
Low intensity impact.
What it is.
I think it's low.
I'm dyslexic.
Low intensity impact.
I'm dyslexic, so don't ask me about acronyms.
Well, essentially, you don't want to do like running on an incline. That's gonna hurt your joints for sure. Things like that. Where what else can I think of? Running is like the worst one.
Low intensity, steady state. So I got all the important words of the acronym.
Okay. Yeah, but essentially just running all the time, that's gonna hurt your joints. I'm trying to think what else kind of hurts your joints workout wise. I think just running is like the
overloading weight that your joints can't handle. But
oh, you mean weights? I mean, I thought we were talking about cardio still.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about joints. No, cardio wise, I mean, it's only really going to be running. Like if you're walking at
incline, that's fine.
Incline at a steady rate, you're gonna burn the same amount of calories as if you're running, but it's just going to be much better on your joints. And then what I recommend a lot of my clients to do as well, and I know this is something you do, is walk backwards on the treadmill because that's very good for your knees.
Yes, sir.
So
hack right there, bro. That's some sauce, dude.
That's the hack right there. So if you're doing cardio, take 5 minutes and walk backwards.
Bro, they 10. Just got a fire tip right there, man, for free. That should cost like $5,000 right there. Like the fucking video.
For free. Okay, so cardio, I mean that's something that again, just keep in mind. It's like I'll use the example of myself. This is where I was actually going when I mentioned the dry versus wet muscles. I went on a work trip where I knew I was going to be walking around. I knew I wasn't going to be able to weight lift with the same intensity that I would if I was home, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to eat as much as if I was home. So it was the kind of thing where, yeah, I ate as much as I could and I worked out as much as I could, but I was doing a crazy amount of cardio. So why I'm lucky to be on a bulk and have wet muscles is I lost like 6 pounds in 4 days. But since I'm on a bulk, since it was all wet muscle, glycerol pumped up, most of what I lost was water weight.
Yeah.
So I regained that weight very quickly by being back in a surplus. So again, it's the kind of thing where you may have, like me being on a bulk, a work trip or a travel opportunity, whatever it may be, where you're kind of forced to be in a zone where you're going to overdo it on cardio. There are times like that where you kind of just got to accept the situation you're in and make the most of it and minimize the effect of overdoing it as much as you can, because there's no, like, I went to Orlando, bro. We went to Epcot. Like, obviously, I'm going to walk around Epcot for like 4 hours.
Yeah, obviously, man.
Obviously. I couldn't not do it, bro.
Yeah, had to. You mean you had to go out of pocket for the out of your program for the walks, but it is what it is.
No, literally on my program, coach said no excessive cardio. I was like,
Yeah.
shit, I have a work trip to
Yeah.
Orlando. um,
I feel like this next one is kind of,
I think we talked about this lack of variation.
yeah, because we talked about it in the early, right in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so lack of variation, we already talked about that. Switch things up. This next one, ooh, this is this is something people don't want to hear. 2 words, man. So this is some great advice
This
that
is 3 words.
nah. Well, I'm gonna say something somewhat different. So great advice that someone gave me when I first started lifting. 2 words. Be patient.
Mm.
This is like some Confucius shit right here. You know what
That's
I
some
mean?
sauce, dude.
Dude.
You Pluto?
Woo-wee. Muscle building is a very slow process. Yes, there are ways you can speed it up.
Yeah, Rome wasn't built overnight, man.
Yes, Josh, you are correct that Rome was not built in a day. So that's the kind of thing you need to be patient. Don't live or die by the scale, right? A lot of people, when they first get into the gym, um, whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, people get too obsessed with the scale. Where I know one thing we've talked about is muscle weighs more than fat. So that's something that as you are building muscle and burning fat, you're going to notice that the scale may stay around the same. But like we've talked about in previous episodes, your clothes are going to fit better. You're going to overall feel healthier. You're going to have a better relationship with food. There's just endless benefits of being healthy and building muscle. But when you get impatient, you start to cut corners, and then that's when your progress stalls out. So that I would say this is also where a lot of people will fall into the category of not working out with enough intensity.
Yeah, you want to train harder than last time.
You want to train hard every time.
Harder than last time.
Yeah, I mean, you want to try to train harder than last time.
You want to be harder than last time.
I don't know how you would measure that.
You can measure it, man. You can measure it for sure.
No, but it is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kind of thing where the mental aspect of it is almost as important as the physical aspect of it, because if you're not in a good space around working out, if you're impatient, stressing yourself out, again, you being impatient is just going to add more stress, which we've already talked about is going to impede your gains. um, this is something that you can really like roadblock yourself. Like this isn't something that necessarily like, oh, I was impatient so I stopped building muscle. This is more of like an overarching idea of I was impatient so I started cutting corners on different things that we've talked about on this list, and over time those things started to compound into stalling progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, once you run out of patience, I think that's when people start messing up their workouts too. Is that is that once they run out of patience, they kind of just either kind of stop going. They're like, oh, there's like no point, or maybe just slack off for a long period of time. But it's a long term game.
It's a marathon, not a
yeah.
sprint.
I mean, to even see like some noticeable results is like every like 4 months. I would say, like, well, I mean sooner than that, like 3 months too. But like to see, let me say, like, yeah, I would say 3 to 4 months, you're gonna notice some body change. I mean, it's not gonna be dramatic, of course, but you'll notice a little bit here and there.
So I heard something. I'm looking it up right now, because this is something too that comes when it comes to patients, on the mental side of it. Body dysmorphia is a real thing. Like I've for sure suffered from it. One thing I've talked about a lot is like my mindset when I've been bodybuilding compared to powerlifting. Like I'm much more confident in my physique right now, and I'm not focused on working out towards my physique at all. So it's the kind of thing where when I was bodybuilding, I was very impatient. I wanted to cut body fat faster. I wanted to bulk faster. I just wanted to see the results faster. And it's something that for sure led to body dysmorphia. So I, without a doubt in my mind, was almost impeding my own progress because I wasn't in a mental space to allow myself to progress. So I was very impatient with it. And one thing, and I think I have it here. So take this with a grain of salt because it's going to be a little different for everybody. There's a study that says we as human beings notice progress in ourselves last. So your close friends and family will notice a change in your physique in 4 weeks. People that say like a work colleague that you see a few times a week, they'll notice in 8 weeks. And for you yourself to notice, it takes 12 weeks.
That's like a survey?
Yeah, it's like a study
Okay.
they did of like people's like mental health, of like how they feel about their physique, and like they they worked with like the people's family and like colleagues and
I
stuff
mean, that
like
makes
that, and
sense.
like broken
I
into different groups.
I mean, once you're into like this fitness thing, you'll definitely notice this where people that you either see often or not so often will give you compliments. I never even know there was a way to track that, or someone actually did a study where they tracked how many weeks it takes, but I know it's bound to happen.
Yeah, no,
But
it's a psychological thing. We notice we are our own hardest critic for sure in everything in our lives. Like for me, like I work in sales and we record all of our calls and we listen back to them a lot. And like if I listen to it with one of my like sales trainers or my manager or my mentor or something, I'm already like critiquing myself as we're going through. And then we listened to it and they were like, wow, Mike, that was great. Like I really liked when you said this here. And I'm like, I thought that call was shit. I was mad. I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was gonna get like critique. I thought I was gonna get roasted.
uh, roasted, dude.
So again, just be patient, stay in your lane. Again, the coach's job is to provide you with the blueprint, and you're the one that needs to go out and actually build the house. They can show you where to put the nail, but you have to actually hammer it.
Yes, sir. You definitely got to. They give you the GPS to get to your destination. You still gotta go. Still gotta drive there.
Still gotta hit that gas, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All gas, no brakes. Pedal to the floor.
All gas, no brakes. Empty the tank.
Yeah. More in the tank. That's something
More in the tank.
our coach always said to me when I was in my undershooting phase was
Gotta-
more in the tank.
What do you mean? It's not. You're still going on your fate. It's not a
No
phase.
way, dude. He said he's been happier with my RPE.
Got more in the tank.
So
Got more in the tank.
lack of patience again is something that is kind of an overarching idea. Something that's gonna be more specific to whichever person we're talking about. Um, these are two things that I'm gonna combine into one list item. So, medical conditions, hormonal factors, and then age and genetics. So, there's a lot of things that, like genetically, you could be more apt to like a certain disease, or like a certain like genetical defect or something along those lines where genetics are out of your control, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you're just not him.
you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your genetics. You know what I'm saying? So, if you aren't lucky enough to
Be him.
I knew you were gonna say that. So, if you aren't lucky enough to have good genetics, I mean, there's still a lot of other factors that you can control to continue to progress. It's just the kind of thing when I talk about genetics, when it comes to like my clients specifically, it's not a conversation I'm going to have right away. It's something that I probably wouldn't have that conversation with my
This
clients.
is like a 2-year
until-
conversation.
until we're way
It's like-
further down the road where they say,
Even 3 years.
like, I'll give you.
Like, nah.
I'm not going to use one of my clients as. I'll use myself as an example, right? So when I was born, I had too much stomach muscle. I had a surgery on my stomach. I still have a scar on my stomach, but they removed muscle. So no matter how much I cut, no matter how low of a body fat percentage I get to, my bottom four, I only really have very defined top two abs. My bottom four don't get very defined no matter how low calorie deficit carbs I get to. You can scratch your chin all you want, but it's something that I have accepted.
That's itchy, dude.
I have accepted my genetics when it comes to what my abs will look like no matter what phase of cut or bulk I'm in.
Interesting.
So it's the kind of thing where there's an influencer on I saw him on TikTok, he's probably on Instagram too. I think his name is Michael Wu or something like that. But genetically, like he doesn't have like really any chest muscle.
So like Mark?
I'm telling him you said that.
Yeah,
actually, no. He better listen to the pod and hear it.
He knows.
Himself.
He knows it, man.
No, but this guy, I don't know if you've seen the guy that I'm talking about, but his chest literally like indents in. Like no matter how much he works his chest.
I mean, you show me a picture, I could probably know who it is. But you don't have to look it up right now.
But no, it's the kind of thing where like I'll use that as.
I mean, people have their
example.
This is like back to which one was it that the one we were talking about, like the calves and lack of variation, weaknesses. This is like weaknesses. So I mean, some muscle groups you're gonna have to train. Some people can get away with, like training like legs once a week. Other people got like me. I got to train them twice. I have to try them twice.
Yeah.
I can't do 3. Well, I actually try to do 3 times leg day.
You're crazy, bro.
But that shit was brutal.
You think you're Tom Platz or something?
No, I couldn't. You can't even Tom Platz it because
you'd be too sore by the time it's your next leg day.
Exactly. But like I was experimenting and stuff, dude, because I wanted to figure out my body. Like 2 days is perfect for me.
Yeah.
And then 2 days is like enough time for me to recover. But I can't do 1. I definitely can't do 1. But like my chest, I can get away with doing it once a week. But my chest is more dominant.
And that's the kind of thing, again, thinking of like specific examples. Like for me, I'll give you 2 examples about the deadlift. For me, I'm naturally better at the deadlift. So I only need to train it once a week and I'm still going to progress. I deadlift more than you, bro. Don't fucking side-eye the camera. So, like, I only need to train it, but I bench 3 times a week because my bench progresses much slower. The other
Coach said that everybody has, it takes longer for them to increase their bench, so that's why he programs 3 times a week.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general, genetically, that's for most people. I'm sure there's some people who genetically progress on bench faster and don't need to do 3 times a week. So coach figured that out, that he figured out that generalization, but there could be someone out there that he signs up and puts him on 3 days a week and he quickly realizes, oh, we can lower this volume and still progress.
Mm-hmm.
So again, genetically, you're not going to know someone right away. I can't look at you and be like, you know what? I think you should bench twice a week. That's not how it works, bro. You think professional weak guy, one day he was just like, you know what? I'm going to deadlift 4 times a week and my lower back is going to be fine. No, I'm sure he built up intensity over time.
No, he started like that for sure, dude.
Genetically, he seems to have a fucking bulletproof lower back. Like his lower back is made out of whatever Wolverine's bones are made out of, like the strongest material in the world. But most people aren't going to be able to deadlift 4 times a week. They may be able to deadlift 4 times a week, but they won't progress while doing it.
I could definitely get away with 7 days a week.
I made a sassy face at the camera.
Yeah, that was a bad one. You gotta be more sly about it.
So those are obviously extreme scenarios of like genetics, but I mean genetically or like medical condition, even like something down to like an allergy, right? Like you need to figure out a dietary restriction.
That goes back to like nutrition though.
Yeah, no? But that could be something that's genetic. When I found out that I was celiac, I asked him if it was something that was genetic, like if it's passed on genetically. Luckily, he said no. But if it was, I would have told my parents to go get tested to see if they were. Because again, a lot of those things, people live with those things like they're normal, not realizing they have a problem.
Just listen to your body.
Exactly. And the next idea of listening to your body.
Oh, the mind muscle connection, dude.
This is something. Oh
Huge.
my own. This is fucking huge.
You haven't had that in a while, though.
No, I still have it, bro. I told you that I need mind muscle connection as a power lifter, and you made a joke. I remember this. You made a joke about my glutes firing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
As a power lifter, I still need mind muscle connection. You'll probably feel it more in the scope of a general gym goer of connecting to the muscle that you're working. Where if you're doing an incline chest, like an incline dumbbell
This
press,
is when you want someone to touch you in the incline.
you want to isolate the top of your chest to squeeze and contract the muscle that you're working. So
Yeah.
mind muscle connection, I feel like, is something that we've gone into and
Yeah, we talked about this. How you want to train a partner to touch your muscle groups to really get that mind muscle connection.
So that's not necessary, but beneficial if you can.
It's better if you close your eyes too. Like imagine the pump.
So if you're lucky enough to have a gym partner who will just go out of their way to do these things without you asking, then I'll power to you. But not all of us are going to be that lucky. So that's something that when you figure out mind muscle connection, it's almost like a 0 to 100. You will gradually feel it, but it's gonna be like it's like ripping a band-aid. Like one day you're gonna be like, holy shit, I felt my lats so much in that pull down. Like that's how it happened to me, at least. Like one day I was just like, I understand I'm flexing the muscle that I'm trying to work, and then I'm stretching it as much as possible on the negative.
I think the best ways to like kind of get the mind muscle connection going is like, of course, like a slow tempo of a movement, but also I think you also need to pose and try to pose so you can see how your muscles react and kind of get an idea of like how to activate your like lats, for example, or your back muscles. The
Yeah.
glutes too. You want to like flex the glutes, squeeze the core.
You haven't posted any glute spreads recently.
I know. I'm trying to cut down so I can see the striations going.
But no,
I need to get my hip thrust game up, dude. I'm trying to hit a 4 or 5 PR. I'm trying to get ready for when I fight Bradley. I'm trying to get my.
You're gonna street fight Brad Martin.
Yeah, because he's 260, so I need to get my hip thrust going, where I can hip thrust like 260 like nothing.
I mean, if he lays on top of you, you can just
hip thrust him off.
Bingo, bango, one hip thrust, and he's
like if he gets a hold of me, I need to hip thrust him off me. If he gets a hold of me.
But if he's got good enough hold of you, you're going with him.
Then I need to increase my squat to
of
260 so I can get up.
All right, so back to mind muscle connection. Yeah, so one thing I've always preached is posing is very important. In my opinion, my mind muscle connection, like when I had that like rip the band-aid feeling, was around the time that I started posing consistently, because like you said, you can get the blood to a muscle, you can get a pump, and you acknowledge the fact that you have a pump, but that doesn't mean you know how to like flex a specific muscle or isolate a specific muscle that you're trying to work out. So it's the kind of thing when you're posing, if I'm lat spreading, I obviously need to like posing comes from the ground up. That we can do a whole episode on posing, but if I'm lat spreading, obviously I need to be able to pull my lats apart. I need to feel myself pulling my lats apart to be able to lat spread, right? If I'm doing a side chest, I need to flex my chest, like the back pec of whatever side I'm facing, so I can push it out and see the striation on the side.
Especially with the glute spread, right? Want to fill that up. The glutes when you're doing the bench and when you're squatting.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any advice on like proper glute spread posing etiquette, you know.
I was actually gonna make a video about that. You'll see it very soon. Very soon.
Vlog or voiceover?
No, it's gonna be both. A little bit of both.
Dang, he's gonna mix it up. All right. So mind muscle connection is very important. Make sure you're flexing the muscle that you're working on, the eccentric and the concentric. They're both very important. And pose. Pose. Um, the last thing, and this is something that kind of goes along with the idea of nutrition, right? What you put into your body is directly going to affect the performance you get out of it. But this is something, Josh, I know you wanted this very high on the list, and I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I cut out and saw a lot of gains, so let us have it.
The
Josh
people need to know.
He's getting real close to the mic for this one.
The people really need to know that you need to cut or limit to maybe 10% or as low as possible drugs and alcohol. I recommend just cutting it all, but I know some of y'all are
Fiends.
yeah, fiends and need to do like this is anything that you would put in the category of drugs and any kind of drugs. Alcohol is a drug too, but alcohol is I think the worst out of all the drugs that affect your workouts, your health, your lack of sleep, and your metabolism also. Because sometimes if you keep doing it often, you're not gonna eat, or you're eating like sometimes. Well, depending on how you are, some people can like eat like junk food like nonstop. So you either gain weight from it or you will undereat, and then eventually you're just gonna fuck your metabolism. And also that goes with like drugs, for example, like certain drugs you're gonna go almost all day not eating depending on what you take.
Well, I was gonna argue your point of alcohol being the most detrimental. There's definitely way worse things that you can do than alcohol, um, and a lot of them will still have negative physical effects on your body. But I think
Well, also alcohol gives you like more calories too out of
not
everything.
anything unless you're drinking a 30 rack of beer, bro. Like it's not going to be anything significant.
Yeah, they're pretty significant. Even if you get like mixed drinks too, like all that sugar.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're mixing it with like a soda or something, then for sure. But
Not many people are like,
I'm just saying, like alcohol. Like I'm only talking about alcohol. I understand and agree with your point that most people will go out and get a mixed drink and make it super sugary, but that goes more into the nutrition category than
I think
talking about alcohol.
most people are not drinking it straight though too. Most people can't handle it straight.
No, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying adding a big sugary drink into your alcohol to chase it down. In my opinion, it's an opinion, so you're allowed to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that goes more into nutrition than it does into the detriments of alcohol. They go hand in hand. A lot of the points that we've talked about have intertwined with each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the kind of thing where if you have a nutrition plan and it's very regimented down to the micronutrients of how much sugar you can intake, or just in general, you're trying to intake less sugar, make a smarter decision. Order the skinny margarita or whatever it is. Don't get something that's like 75% sugar, 10% ice, and 15% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did that math right. But you know what I mean? Like make a smart decision instead of compounding a bad decision.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think it goes person to person too. But I think majority of people drink beer, and that's why they get fat in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No, I don't disagree with that. My point was only about the sugary drinks.
okay.
Beer is going to make you fat.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, also you're gonna like in the gym too, because next day you're already hangover. I mean, no matter what, you're not gonna be 100% than you would getting a good night's sleep and working out the next day. And any of the other drugs like smoking a lot, anything smoke related, it's probably gonna make you, it's gonna affect your stamina a little bit.
Weed's a medicine, bro.
But either or, it's gonna affect your stamina at least a little bit for your lungs.
So I think the worst part about this part of the conversation is typically these things go hand in hand, unfortunately, right? So it's very I mean, there's a lot of people, I shouldn't generalize that much. There's obviously a lot of people that drink but don't do drugs. But I feel like people that do drugs generally also drink and they do them at the same time so they compound the effects. Alcohol is a downer.
Mhm.
Most drugs that they're taking are probably going to be an upper. So their body is going to be very confused. They're off their center of equilibrium. I mean, just common sense, you probably fall over and get hurt more, right? But like in general, like all of your internal shit is going to be off because a drug is something that's like not like natural, right? Like it gives your body an unnatural effect. So your body can either only handle so much of it, which is why people OD and
Mm-hmm.
they either get really sick or they end up dying, or they just have such adverse effects from it that they can't function in daily life, or they get so addicted to it that it consumes their life.
Yeah, it really just depends how addicted somebody is or how much they do it. Like even drinking alcohol, let's say you go out like once a weekend, like that's for sure like enough to mess up your gains. And I mean, yeah, I would just say definitely moderation. Like I can't even remember the last time I drank. It had to be like a good like past 3 months now for
Yeah,
sure.
I've been doing a dry prep, so I haven't drank in probably 5 or 6 months.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we have like one drink. Well, it won't happen after meet day because we have to drive back. But
No,
like,
I'm taking a shot of tequila at the KBBQ place.
oh, okay, okay. I mean, you're the one driving back. You know, if I mean, I'm good. Like for sure, I'm gonna probably grab a drink like the
No, you're
Friday.
taking a shot of tequila too. The fuck?
No, I meant like beforehand too.
Oh, okay.
Before you're even your meet day, because I'm on vacation mode. Like you're still like
Yeah.
on the grind till Saturday. So like even me, I might drink like one drink on a Friday,
Yeah.
and then of course on Saturday, I'm not driving back, so I'm good, dude. Yeah, I'll for sure be taking a shot.
So I think the overarching point
Oh,
about
well, you know what? Actually, I do remember the last time I drank. It was before I started my cut, so it was like 3 months ago, and before May started.
right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
right now we're in August, so
Gotcha.
yeah.
Um, so I think the overarching point we're trying to make about drugs and alcohol, the the immediate effects are, I mean, depending on how it affects you, typically you have a good time, whatever. But the long term effects are going to be negative, right? You're going to be hungover, which means you're probably not going to eat breakfast. You're probably going to drink too much caffeine to try to make yourself feel normal. And then again, it's something that alcohol and drugs themselves have negative effects on your body because, like I just said, they're unnatural. Um, they also have long-term mental effects, and they affect all of these things on this list that we talked about, where even like to the point like addiction is stressful.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
I think this is
I
number one,
I
honestly.
when pre-COVID, like I've told you on the podcast before, like I drank and partied way too much. And it was the kind of thing where thinking about getting to go to the bar after work and drink was affecting me actually doing my job because I was just thinking about getting to go to the bar after work and getting to drink.
Hmm.
And so it was the kind of thing where I would skip the gym because I wanted to go drink. I would not be fully focused on work because it was all I was thinking of. So again, even the physical effects go so far, right? There's some people, I know this one of my best friends, I've literally in like 10 years of knowing him, I have not seen him hungover once. And he drinks more than anybody I know. So like genetically,
He probably doesn't even get drunk, dude, when he's drinking if he just does it all the time.
dude, we don't really know where it goes, but we've always joked around with it because he's like, I saw a meme, bro. It was like, why is it always the guy who drinks the most that almost dies is always the first one who wakes up, texting the group chat saying, "Let's go get iced coffee." But that was literally who my friend was. So,
No. No, I definitely like you can get away with it if you're like young. Like for me, for example, I was kind of going out like pretty much almost like every weekend. I still got my ass to the gym, but I could tell my workout did definitely lack, and I could tell with my physique too. Like if I look back at old pictures, like it could have been a lot better if I stop the partying and all that stuff and focus more in the gym. But it also depends, like, it depends person to person how serious they want to take to the gym. Like, let's say you want to take the gym 50% serious, then the other 50% is like, you're partying and stuff, but you're not gonna see the best results for
Yeah,
sure.
you got to understand the results that are going to come with your level of
It's always gonna be a
commitment.
con, and like if you want to be taking this shit really serious at 100%, you got to keep the alcohol and drugs at 0%.
But again, it's usually the people that aren't fully committed that get impatient and fall off.
Yeah, it is what it is. No matter what, it's always gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think again, this is drugs and alcohol. That's another topic I feel like we could do a full episode on. Um, I say we start to kind of
Go to
wrap
the.
things up here. Before we do that,
Woo!
do you got one for us?
Me, of course. Nah. Okay.
Is Josh nominating himself as the sick cunt of the week?
Sick cut of the week, man.
Brr, 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 brr.
Honestly, the best one that I saw this week was Lex Little, man, because he had his new pre. That's like the best one I had today. This
Boo.
week. There was no eventful news, really.
Dude, it wasn't even a new pre. It's the same pre, just a different flavor, but it's the same
Hey,
flavor.
but he's
as
like
every other
he's the
cunt.
best looking sick cunt out of all of them. That's a hot take right there.
What are the other? Okay. A
Sush?
pause. A pause.
It was Sush and James English.
I mean, I'm not gonna debate which of those three guys is the most attractive.
Yeah, you're not Myron? You're Myron, bro.
Yeah, I admire their gains. I'm not.
I'm talking
if
about the
they're
gains,
fucking
bro.
Handsome or not?
I'm
Dude,
talking about the gains. What are you talking about?
gains don't make you handsome, bro.
I didn't say handsome.
That's what you said. The best looking.
Yeah, best looking with gains.
Okay, then say best physique. Don't say best looking. Best looking assumes handsome.
Are you roasting me right now?
If I was roasting you, you would know it. No, I think by you saying best looking, that assumed
Come on, man.
looks, not physique.
We're talking about the physique here. That's what makes them a sick cunt.
Like
No, we're not really.
Physique as of today, or like peak physique. Because peak physique, it's gonna be.
They got the
James
most
English.
aesthetic physique.
Peak physique, it's James English. The dude is an IFBB pro. And Lex Little, I love him to death, but is natty.
But dude, you gotta think about the symmetry though, man.
Yeah, bro, you're not an IFBB pro and asymmetrical.
But I'm talking about aesthetics here, dude.
I think you're trying to like piss me off or something.
I'm talking about aesthetics here, dude.
Dude, bodybuilding is
You got the X frame, dude.
Bodybuilding is the ultimate chase of aesthetics.
You got the X frame.
If you keep arguing aesthetics over an IFBB pro over a natural influencer,
Lex can do him. He can get his pro card.
yeah, if he pinned his ass,
He got it.
maybe Aaron would pin his ass for him. I don't know, but I think that's the only way.
You
Dude,
jealous?
I'm not jealous. I'm not a bodybuilder. All right, Josh.
All right. Well, this is long enough though.
Yeah, no, so I think that was getting a little unracked there for a minute. But
This is on rack.
before we close this out, I ask, do you have any last thoughts?
Why do you dare to ask, man? This is like the best part right here. Yeah, I have a lot of last thoughts, but I'll save it for the next pod.
5-hour podcast of Josh's last thoughts. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks as
Pause.
always. Josh is so on one right now. I'm going to end the podcast with the outro. Do I have your permission?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. Thanks as always for tuning in. As you know by now, we're going to be dropping new episodes every Thursday morning on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe. However you're watching today, we appreciate your support. I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to keep making those sweet gains. Keep living life unracked, baby. Let's go.
Like the fucking video.
Let's go.